Hey everyone, this is Vil. So in this video, I'm going to tell you a specific technique which if you apply, you are almost guaranteed to find a successful digital service or a digital product. This is something that I don't really hear people talking about a lot, but I have been applying this for years and it helped me out a lot. And once you hear it, believe me, it's going to make a lot of sense. So first of all, I'm going to tell you what exactly is the problem that you might be facing right now. Then I'll tell you what is this specific technique. I'll give you some examples so you can really understand what it is and how it applies. And then lastly, I'm going to give you some actual technical steps how you can create this. So let's just jump straight into the video. So what is wrong with the normal approach? And I think it's sort of just a consensus that all you need to do is you find a service, you slap on a higher price, you find customers, you sell it, you just package it nicely, you just market it nicely, and that is it. And that can work, don't get me wrong. However, I think there is a way better situation how you can actually go about to sell your services. So what I'm talking about is a win-win approach, and this is something that I personally came up. So if you Google, you probably are not going to find a lot of information about this, but this is something that I just applied seeing through what exactly works, and this is something that I try to follow every single time when I'm coming up with some sort of service or some sort of product. So first of all, when you are trying to find a good service, a good product, you need to find something that just can be easily outsourced. That's one of the main criteria, and I know this sounds a little bit obvious, but I feel like people don't always necessarily think about that. And the second point that kind of comes with this is that you need to have something that requires structures or systems. What I mean by this is that if someone needs a specific service or product, they can't just go on one of the freelancer websites and just order it, just outsource, and that's it. It's not as simple as that. There has to be some sort of structures in place for them to actually get that service or get that product. And I know this might sound a little bit complicated right now, but I'll give you an example later and this is going to make a lot of sense. But I just want to explain how you need to think about services when actually choosing what you're going to do. If you can have something that requires systems, and by systems what I mean is that there have to be specific steps taken, or there have to be specific people or a combination of people that have to do all of these different things to make one service or one product. This takes your service or your product to the next level, and that gives you advantage because people can't just go out and do the same thing because you created this specific structure, specific service, whatever it is. It basically gives you this competitive advantage that no one else really has. Another point that kind of leads from this is once you have these structures or systems, and it doesn't necessarily have to be this, but usually if you will have these systems and structures, then what is very important is that it is better and it is cheaper for both parties. So what this means is that it is cheaper for client to purchase the service from you rather than going on just some freelancing websites. And while it might look like you are underselling a certain service, you have to make it in a way that it really costs you only a fraction of the costs to get that service delivered. So I hope that makes sense. Again, I'll give you examples so it will make perfect sense. At the end of the day, the main principle is that you want both. You want your client to be a winner and you want yourself to be a winner. So that's kind of the problem that I see a lot of times, that people just think, how can I get the most money out of the service? How can I, put on the highest margin and all of that? And what you need to focus is how can you give the best product to your customer that it actually makes sense for them to go with you, but at the same time, you are also making money. And when you find that sweet spot, this is where you're going to be successful. Okay, so how do you create a win-win situation? First of all, one thing that it can be a huge piece of work that can be adjusted for other clients. So if you create something that takes a long time, or it takes a lot of resources, a lot of manpower, so you need to find something that you invest a lot of time, but you can adjust that product so you can resell it to multiple people. So you only invested one big piece of time, but then that time can be resold to a lot of different people. This works way better rather than you doing services that every single time you need to figure out, how do I do this for this specific client, how do I do this for this and this and this and that, and you need to start from scratch every single time. So you need to create a framework that allows you to create one big project that can be applied to a lot of different people. So then in return, what happens is when you're selling this service or this product, it doesn't require you a lot of time, even though it might seem to the client that it does require a lot of time, because if the client would do this themselves, it would actually require them a lot of time. And this is, as you can maybe follow already, this is where the win-win comes in. One time, large input that can be reused multiple times. Alright, so let's get to some examples, because I know that it might be a little bit difficult to comprehend what exactly I mean. So by this example, I think it's going to be very, very clear. Let's imagine you are a yoga instructor and perhaps you want to sell yoga online courses or classes or retreats, whatever it is. What you want to really do now, you want to do a publicity outreach. So if you want to do that as a yoga instructor, it would require you to do multiple things. So first of all, you would need to create outreach strategy, you need to find contacts, creating proposals, working out details, creating designs, and so on and so on. There's a lot of stuff that would go into this. And that, let's say in this example, that would take you 1 month of work. Even if you are outsourcing, that would still take the outsourced team 1 month of work. However, if you followed what I said, then you already have this system or a structure that has all of these needs of this yoga instructor. So you already have contact database, you already have design templates, you already have proposal templates, and so on and so on and so on and so on. You have already invested in all of this, and you have already created all of this. Or if you are drop servicing, you might actually just find someone who has already done all of this work. So in this example, for you to do this outreach for this yoga instructor, it would take only 1 week, because you already have all of these resources. You don't need to start from scratch, you don't need to build databases, you don't need to build designs. You already have templates that it takes you very little effort to actually just change a few things, and it's all already done for you. So when it comes to the end result, one thing I want to emphasize is that sometimes people might understand that they are overpaying you. They're paying you way more than this service is worth. And I have done that a lot of times myself. I would pay for services that I know it takes maybe 5 minutes for the person to do the service, but I will pay $100 or a couple $100 because I know that for me, that would cost a lot more. So that's the point, that they might know that they are overpaying, but they are also paying less. So if they would do it themselves, it would take them a lot of time. So for them, it would make more sense to go and teach a few yoga classes and make that money. And if they are outsourcing, in this example, let's say it may cost them $4,000 and it might take 1 month for the outreach to actually be completed. Whereas even if they are paying you $2,000 for 1 week, instead of 1 month of work for $4,000, so that's double the pay for the amount of time. However, at the end of the day, it's $2,000 that they pay you instead of $4,000 that they pay someone else to get the same result. And actually getting the same result in less time, getting the delivery faster, is even better. So I hope now after this example you understand how this is a win-win for both, and how when you look for different services or different products, this is the approach that you really need to try to apply as much as possible. And again, for this example, once you have all of this database, designs, proposals, all of that built out already, then you can go to the next yoga instructor and you can do the same thing again for them, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. So that's the main principle: build out systems and structures that are going to bring you in a lot of money. Now let's go to the technical level so you understand the different ways how you can actually do this. And there are actually a lot of different ways, but I'll tell you of some of, I would say, the main or the easiest ways how this is possible. So the first thing that you can do that is very simple is simply just buying something that can be reused. So you're making that investment, that you're purchasing something, but then you can use that for multiple clients. So this can be something as simple as design templates, or it can be something even a little bit more interesting, such as outreach strategies. Not everyone knows how to do outreach, but there are people that will sell you strategies, and once you get that strategy, you know exactly how to do everything. That's why people who sell courses are very successful, and people who buy courses have a lot of success, because it's just you buy that thing that's already pre-packaged for you and explains everything. Another thing is buying things in bulk. So again, if you imagine, let's say, that yoga instructor going on Freelancer and asking someone to do a little task of maybe a couple of hours, just think about it. If someone's asking you to do a task of a couple of hours, you're probably going to ask quite a bit of money, because just for you to start something and to invest a couple of hours, it's not really worth your time that much. Or let's say someone offers you 1 month of work, then probably you're going to take a little bit less per hour rate, just because you know you're going to make, it's guaranteed that you're going to make a lot of money throughout the month. So that's kind of the principle. If let's say you're doing drop servicing and you're getting a lot of freelancers to do a lot of tasks, you're giving them a lot of work, then you can ask them for a lower rate, and then when your client comes in, you can give them the rate that they would get anywhere else if they go on freelancers, but because your actual rate was lower, you are already making a profit. And lastly, what I already kind of mentioned, you can create systems. So again, just a couple different examples. What you can do also, you can have pre-made work structures. So basically you have a certain structure of what exactly needs to be done, what steps need to be taken, and all of that, which will save a lot of time, and time is money. So obviously if you save a lot of time, then it costs you less, so then you can sell it for a higher price for your clients. Also, a little tip, you can pay those people at once in large sums, because the transfer fees do cost a lot, especially when you're outsourcing abroad. I will leave a link of an amazing payment system that makes it so much cheaper to transfer money to people abroad. But the principle is also, if someone's just paying for couple of hours of work, they're going to pay a lot of money in fees, whereas if you are paying for 1 month of work, you're not going to pay that much more in fees. So this is something where you are also saving up money. And lastly, just a principle of combining people together. So again, if we go to that example of the yoga instructor, they might need to hire a few different people. They might need to hire someone who does copywriting, someone who does design, they might need to write someone who does the outreach itself. So it's combining a lot of people, and if you have already all of these combinations in place, then you can have again this competitive advantage that's going to help you to sell your services or your products. So really hope you found this video useful. As I said, just try to find a win-win for everyone, and believe me, it's going to be so much easier to sell your services or your products. If you find this video useful, make sure to smash the thumbs up button, subscribe to my YouTube channel, put on those notifications so you see next time I upload video. Also, check out my website. There's a lot of useful stuff, a lot of freebies and all of that. So there's a link down below in the description. Make sure to check out my website. Follow me on social media. Stay awesome, and I'll see you soon.